Ladies and gentlemen, it's another episode of Hermitcraft, and I'm having so much fun hitting that record button. Don't even know what episode we are on right now. Maybe it's like 15 or maybe even getting closer to 20, but I am absolutely enjoying my time on this season, and we're in the shopping district. I think this is the only new thing that's popped up that I haven't shown you yet. It is Giarian's new shop, the newest hermit in the Hermitcraft community, and he has built a ginormous pickle jar. This is a fantastic shop. I cannot wait to show you it all. Welcome to In a Pickle shopping experience. Hey guys, I just turned myself into a pickle. Jump on in. There is the Giarian face as a pickle, my friends. It is hilarious, and this shop is pretty hilarious as well. And there is a no, don't blow up his shop. Oh, goodness me, that was hairy. Okay. Well, there are a bunch of signs to read around here. They are mostly puns. Well, you seem to be in a bit of a pickle. I'm definitely inside of a pickle right now. A pickle with a Giarian face. Head on up to the shop. It's a pretty big deal. And that's kind of it for the signs. I think there's more of them up top. Let's head up here and jump into this area. Oh yeah, we're entirely underwater. That is fantastic, isn't it? Look at all these pickles. There are chests scattered around the place full of, well, not full, but they got pickles inside of them. Here's the thing, I know how to farm pickles. I don't really need to buy any, but I'd like to support the newest hermit on the server. So pickle up as many pickles as you need. 1 diamond for 2 stacks. Don't touch, they are picklish. This water can be a little cumbersome. Buy more pickles, it's a pretty sweet deal. Never dill a moment in this shop. Being stuck in here must be jarring. And up the top here you can actually drown. There are chests all over the place for this thing. Anyway, I'm going to buy 4 stacks, which is 2 diamonds. Let me double check that. Yep, 1 diamond equals 2 stacks. Wonderful. Right, now we need to get out of here because the conduit effect has stopped. And there is another creeper. Run, run, run in that direction. Okay, it hasn't seen me. Bam. So I watched Giarian's video. Quite funny, really. This sign right here. You seem to be in a bit of a pickle. Makes more sense when you're trying to leave, but I guess I'm kind of spoiled that one for myself, right? Because you're stuck down here. Luckily for me, I brought an ender pearl. Oh no. Anyway, we're back over at this place, and yes, we are indeed going to be working on the furnace smelting system that I've been talking about. That'll be the focus of today's episode. And behind me, you may see that I've been working on this area. From this angle here, it actually doesn't look like I've done too much. So the big platform at the top has been extended to the left. You can see I'm kind of working out how this bit here is going to work. I'm not sure where the portal will be, but there's a nice little area down there for me to hide my shulker boxes and stuff. And so I've been building up everything that we've done so far, putting in the concrete powder, the paths, and then up the top here I've just been using this space to farm some trees, and I've corrected the mistake. I think I talked about this where we got some like little double gaps over on this side and they weren't mirrored on that side. So now the platform is correct. It's slightly larger than before, and I've even been working on where the path goes over in this direction and where the walls go, and it's really starting to come together. But I think we absolutely need to remove this grass and replace it with something else. One of the main reasons why is because we're surrounded by grass, and I don't fancy changing all of that, so it needs a little bit more contrast because I find it kind of just melts the two together. Anyway, I have a live stream scheduled up next, and I'm going to work on this area, so when I come back in a second, there's going to be even more to show you. And from right here, you can really see a lot of what's been going on. Tidying up things all over the place. We got these slabs over here now, which look so great, so good coming through this area. This really ties up the pathway around to this side here. You can see that we got a little way through this wall here as well. I think one of our entrances to this area will be right over here coming into this space, and I've been figuring out the size of all of this, which I got thrown off by because the middle segment here is actually 7 blocks wide, and usually our panels are 5 wide, and that's absolutely fine because we'll end up making it look good. So you can see I've gone for some stone bricks and some trapdoors, which is looking alright. I'm not sure if any of that is going to change up. And we're using jungle trapdoors over here. I want to find a texture to put behind the jungle trapdoor, and then I think that look will be complete. And I don't know what we're going to do about this grass down here. I feel like we need something different going on in this area. So what I really want to do now is get to the technical stuff, and I've got one last hang up before the majority of this area is done, and that is just figuring out what is going to go on the sides of this path in this area. So we're going to put it down to a poll. You can vote for brown, yellow, or grey. And personally, these two I think are the ones I like the most. And it's probably going to be this one. But I'm going to see what the poll says. If there's like a clear winner, then maybe I'll go with what you guys think. I think the yellow is going to be easy because it matches the birch up here. But then this is kind of a little bit more sea-like. Maybe it's the coral blocks and the textures being a bit messy. That looks like it would look good underwater and therefore maybe more fitting to have on this dock area here. But anyway, I've been working on this thing. It is now sort of finished for us to go inside and start building the furnace. Of course, we've got to get the items over there first, and before we even get to that, I want to get my camera account on here. So what does this area look like from up above? It looks pretty fantastic, I think, and if we fly around to the other side, you're going to see that I've done some terraforming here to disguise the tall walls of this, which I didn't really want to have, and it's really obvious where I've terraformed, and that I think is because of the lack of grass. So I'm going to get in there and bone meal that, and I've also just realised I need to place some more fences at the top here. But anyway, everything is now ready for us to start work on the item transport system for the kelp. So how many hoppers would you guess we have here collecting the kelp? It is actually 19 in total, and we're going to have extraordinary amounts of kelp being pushed into them. So then we're going to be limited by the speed of the hoppers. We need to get the items from over here to over there, and you know, I might be smarter to build the furnace directly here, but I want to have fun with this project. I want to move things around and build some interesting stuff. So we're actually going to divide this up into 3 different sections, and I believe that means I've actually got to replace every single hopper. And of course, doing that filled up my inventory with some kelp. It had backed up into the hoppers as well. But anyway, we've got 3 dispensers here because we're going to use 3 dispensers to actually move all of these items. So we will have these things pulsing rapidly. I'm not going to say as fast as they can because I've come up with my own clock design for this. And so then what we've got to do is split these up so they are in 3 different sections. The one in the middle is going to have 7. And the one on the outsides are going to have 6. So that's why there's this block here to mark the outside. And that means that we're going to use a lot of hoppers. And I don't have a lot of iron. I've kind of been caving every now and then and saving up so that we can get ourselves a beacon base at some point. But that might just go right out of the window now because we're probably going to end up using pretty much all of our iron for this project. The next thing we have is the unfortunate challenge of doing redstone underwater. I think what I'm going to do for now is place doors like this on either side because we're actually going to be able to hide all of our redstone for this inside of this space. So then we'll place down a sponge and we should be good inside this little area. Excellent. So now we can build some redstone in here. Well, I'm having to mess with the wall of leaves here because everything about building this clock is a pain in the bum. You have to be in the opposite direction. I keep building things and tearing them out, but we got the basics in so far. And now what I can go ahead and do is put these here and then put observers which need to be facing in that direction. When this observer is pushed downwards, it's going to be 2 facing each other, so they're going to constantly update one another back and forth. And then around the other side, you'll see that we've got droppers here. That's simply to pass the update through the next observer to the dispensers at the top. So you can probably guess what the next component of this circuit is. It is indeed the comparator, which that one right there is going to be tricky to place. Yes, there we go. We've got it facing forward. So then what we need is a sticky piston facing downwards. And luckily, I believe this is going to be easy because we've got blocks above. Yes, and that is actually all that we need, I think. Let's give this a test, not just any test, like a practical test. Let's throw some kelp into each of the sections, and I can hear it clicking. That's a good sign. And it's all getting dispensed. Excellent. Let's go down below and see it in action. And that's wonderful. So when there's nothing going into the dispenser anymore, the comparator turns off, and then that thing comes up again. Most of the time when doing redstone, I do it in mock in a test world first, so I know exactly what we're getting up to. And for some reason, I needed the water to come outwards before it went into soul sand, and now I can't see a reason to do that. So it could be that what I'm about to do will go unfortunately wrong. So we don't need any of this orange glass, but the reason that we were using orange glass is because we're going to end up covering it up with this stuff. We're going to use a Chacha trapdoors to move our items around, which sounds really strange, but it is a purely aesthetic thing. I want to have a bridge going across the water, above the water, with these blocks having water flowing through them to take the items all the way across into the factory. Okay? It sounds really strange, but it's going to look wonderful, and it's not an efficient way of doing things, it's a purely aesthetic one. And now we have the awkward problem of getting water inside of the trapdoors. Down below it was nice and easy because there were other blocks to click on, but we need those water bubbles to come all the way up. And I've got a feeling this will either be easy or difficult, because if what I'm about to do doesn't work, then I don't know how. But I am going to actually waterlog this trapdoor first, then open it. Actually, no, I've got to go around to this side. So this time when I shift click on it, will I now be clicking in front of the trapdoor? Oh, thank goodness for that. Because it's waterlogged, it means when I shift click on it, it's then going to look at the block in front. So that is going to be somewhat easy, and then I can take that one back. But I need to think about the flow here. I think what I need to do is basically waterlog the ones on this side first. This next part is going to be one of the most interesting things I've ever built. A pipeway using trapdoors. Now we're going to run into a little bit of a problem at the end here where we need to place in ice blocks to move the items across because they don't have the momentum from the water to go across a regular block. And what we'll end up doing is building a little structure that rises out of the water below like a support beam that turns into a loop to kind of hold the whole thing together. And if you're wondering why there's glass here, it's because the orange kind of matches the colour. We can put trapdoors on the side of it, but you know, you can kind of understand if I put a trapdoor there, it's either on the side or on the top. And we might be able to get away with it only on the top because the items are going straight up. But anyway, this now means we're going to start transporting some stuff. So why don't I put something into a hopper? Let's also put some kelp in here as well. And then it's going to do its thing. So the items are going to get elevated by the soul sand. And then they're going to go across and shoot out the end. Look at them flying into the water. So to make this happen, we need to pick up a couple of materials. The first of which is in the shopping district. And some property that we checked out earlier has been defaced. Goodness me, that is a sight right there. Anyway, tucked around the corner, out of sight, there is actually an iceberg that has fallen from the skies above, landed into the shore and splashed its ice all around the place here. This is a very cool shop made by Stress Monster, who I believe is the Ice Queen or Ice Princess of the server or something like that. And she has gathered up tons of ice. So I need packed ice. That is regular ice, which I actually have a little bit of it. 4 diamonds for 1 stack. You're driving a hard bargain there. I guess it's a whole stack. I'm not going to need a whole stack. So right now that I think is an okay deal for me. So bam, there we go. And then the compressed stuff is 10 diamonds. Hang on a sec. Doesn't it take 9 stacks? Oh, but it's 4, isn't it, each? So actually, yeah, that would end up being a bit cheaper in fairness. And there's snow as well. And we are back at the base because we need a cha-cha wood. That pigman has made some friends. Yeah, I'd actually chopped loads of this down from earlier in the episode, and then I went and left it over here. Jeez, I had to travel all the way back. We need a lot of this stuff, though, because the trapdoors are rather expensive. In fact, you're going to need 2 to make just that many, so it's pretty pricey. So building this now is pretty straightforward, if not a little bit tedious. You can see I've outlined where this is going to go. You'll notice that I've lowered it down as well, and that's because I felt like if it were higher up, and originally it was level with the bits over there, the entrance to where the furnace will be, yeah, if it were higher up, it just kind of looked a bit obnoxious. So I've lowered it down so it's just above the water, and that means we're going to have to build a little elevator over there. On the corner here, I think we're going to need to use a glass block again, and then put trapdoors on the outside, but otherwise, this is pretty straightforward. It's actually easier to just kind of leave this open to begin with, and do that. And yeah, anyway, let's get this thing built up. So the great pipeline has been built, and I love it. What a great decision to lower this down by a few blocks. It's not as obnoxious now, but it does really stand out, but in a good way. And I love the design of all of this. It has come together so very, very well. I've had this idea in my mind for the longest time to use trapdoors. In fact, pretty much since these new trapdoors are added, to then use them as pipes to transfer items through. Now in the middle here, you'll notice that there is some pressure plates. Those can get activated by items, but what I've done is I've actually replaced the bottom side on either side with these stairs, which look really good, because previously they were trapdoors and they were opening and closing when items would come through, which is just silly. So over here we have a little elevator to bring things upwards. It gets a little bit bulky around here. There's an extra ice block. Some dark wood extends outwards. I think I might change some of that up at a later date and try and yeah, make it a little nicer on the eyes. But anyway, it's all come together extremely well so far. And I think now the next step is just to get into building the furnace. But first of all, I'm going to have to clear out some space in here. So now we got to get to the furnace array. And I've kind of built some stuff on the inside. And out here on the outside, we've got some stone bricks. Stuff like that, I reckon, is subject to change. And thinking of subject to change, I'm not going to focus on any aesthetics on the inside. So I've just built this out of glass. We've got another soul sand elevator. I figured rather than dig downwards, let's make our lives easier, bring the items back up, and start from up here. And I've actually aligned my design so it's level with the floor here. So we're actually going to walk in, and this right here is going to be a room that we will decorate. And all of the stuff down below probably won't actually get used. Now, the design that I have in mind may change, but probably won't straight away. I don't know. I need to get up the top here and just place something first of all. We need to remove this bit of glass and put a dropper here, because underneath this dropper we are going to have hoppers, and those hoppers are going to lead the fuel into the furnaces, right? That means we've got to get up here to put our fuel in here to restock everything. So at the moment, that part of the design is suboptimal. But somewhere around here is where our furnaces will start. And the furnaces are going to be in groups of 8. So I kind of need to reconfigure this maybe so that a new water source starts just over here. And then it's going to go over hoppers. Let's actually go and grab some of those. Or maybe not, because these hoppers, I think, are going to point directly downwards. And now I've placed all of my hoppers, so I'm going to have to craft some more. And you can see that a lot has happened here. I've actually done a fair bit of recording, and just watching it in editing, I was like, do you know what? I can just delete this and come back up here again and explain what's going on. So the water that was going to go around the corner here would need an extra block in order to actually point the items in the correct direction. And then we need them to be in groups of 8, because the water is going to need an ice block every 8. But that would make fitting it into this entire space kind of tricky. And over here, because this is lining up with an odd width area, makes sense for this to be 7, and for each of these segments to actually be 7 furnaces. So the dropper up here is in a bit of an inconvenient spot. However, we might be able to make an item elevator from below to bring the fuel up to there, which is good because this is where the operations of this place is going to happen, on this floor right here. So below our furnaces, we are going to have hoppers to take out the dried kelp. This is going to put them into chests, which we will break. And so below the chests, we're going to have like a floor and some walls to guide the items into water streams. That looks a little bit odd. Let's make the one in the middle the odd one out for now. There we go. So down here where we collect the fuel, we will then craft it and put it into something that'll take it back up the top. Hopefully that will work out. And that's like one problem that might not work, and there is another one I can think of as well. It involves hoppers, because we have water streams going over the top of the hoppers, and it is possible, I believe, for items to actually get caught in these water streams. Now, you'll see here, this thing is actually inside of the hopper because of the hitbox of it. But here's the thing. Items float in water, so I'm hoping that the momentum of the items moving through the water means they'll always be kept above falling into the hoppers. But that's something that we've got to watch out for, because if that does become a problem, we may have to redesign the entire thing, which I'm willing to do. You know, if I get it wrong, that's okay, but I think you've seen the most of everything there is to talk about now, so I'm going to build it up, and we're going to get a couple of these working. So our furnaces have been lowered down. The whole thing has been sort of brought to a more reasonable size. So if ever I need to go walk around on the top of that thing, the roof will be further above and there's room for me to maneuver. So here we go. We got this thing filled up with dried kelp blocks from where we made some before. And now we've got to bring the kelp over here. So it's time to activate the flying machine, and fingers crossed everything will work and the kelp will make its way over here. We have a major problem, a major problem. The hoppers right here their hitbox means that the kelp can get caught inside of it, and loads of the stuff is getting caught there. Loads of it is getting through as well. There's actually quite a lot of kelp coming through here, and because this farm, you know, is just going to produce this stuff endlessly, we don't have to worry about the losses right now. We'll figure out a solution to that. And over here, everything is working without a hitch. The kelp gets all the way to this point. And then something rather amusing happens up above. The kelp flies up into the air. And then it lands back in the water stream. I haven't seen a single piece land anywhere but back in the water. So that's a really good sign that it's kind of reliable at sending the items up but not out to the side. So we are currently lighting up 4 furnaces. And as we solve problems, increase the bandwidth of the kelp coming over here, it just means that the kelp's going to fill up these hoppers, travel further along, and slowly fill up more and more furnaces. So a temporary and ugly fix. The hoppers at the sides were shooting across, so I think they were going up and getting caught on the inside of the hopper, but there is kelp at the back one there getting caught, and since the one at the bottom will shoot outwards away from there, I'm going to guess it's the one on either side that get caught on the one at the back. So my friends, this part of the world has been loaded for over 16 hours now. Did a massive overnight AFK session and kept the world loaded. The machine has been running over there with no problems whatsoever. The kelp has been continuing to come into the system, and this thing has burned through enormous amounts of fuel. As you can see, these ones here have run out. These ones are still going, and I have to keep crafting more and more of it. In fact, I reckon I've probably crafted over a double chest of it. And basically, the more of it we stock up, the more of it we can burn. But what we really need to do is to get the amount of kelp coming in from over there a lot higher, and then this thing will really start to produce. Now, the chests down the bottom have been upgraded to double chests, so we can store even more. And as you can see, not all of it is getting filled up, but we are producing tons of it. And what we do now is we break these chests, and the water sort of flushes them to the edges here. And I'm not sure if I particularly like this system or not, but it definitely works, as you can see. And I might make some changes here. I believe my sound's off, isn't it? Yes, there we go. We got our sounds back. And now we've got crazy amounts of this stuff. So the idea is that the water sort of pushes it into an area where you can stand. There might be a way to get it all to a single point, but at least here I can then go and craft some of the stuff. And the idea is that I should prep my inventory first. The way that I would do that is to reserve a whole bunch of space like that. Then I can stand here and just do this process over and over. And there it is, 2 rows of dried kelp blocks. Problem is, this stuff is basically going to get dumped straight back into the system and start to fill up all of the fuel line that we have here to go into the furnaces again. By the way, it doesn't always look like this, where all the furnaces are lit. Usually it's just a few of them on one side, but I've been gathering kelp from our supply that we collected when we first built that farm, and so now the next step is to work on the farm again and get the amount of kelp it's producing way up, because we need to bring in lots and lots of this stuff. So there is going to be a big expansion ahead of us, but this is where we're going to wrap up the episode. If you have enjoyed it, then leave a like. As always, thank you for the support, and I'll see you soon with another episode. Ciao for now. Bye bye.